What's good, everybody? It's your boy Sunny, and I'm back again with another episode of Sunny Talks. And on today's episode, I'm here with TeaPott from the Dungeons and Shinobi podcast. What's good, TeaPott?
Hey man, how's it going?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. Now that I got some coffee going in me, I'll be a
Nice.
lot
You got
better.
you got your coffee. I got dark stuff.
You got the better stuff? Yeah. This is like my morning. I get up at 6 p.m. So my
Oh
wife
shit.
works third, so I'm just like on a third schedule with her normally.
Okay, okay. Oh wait, right now is your morning. So you work
Hmm.
at 6 p.m. Okay. Wait, so where are you located in America?
Ohio, like north of
Ohio.
Columbus. Yep.
Okay, nice, nice, nice. Well, before we get into all of this stuff, can on this show we like to break it down from like, or just tell your story from the beginning to, and then we bring it slowly to the present day. So, but before that, can you let the people know who you are, what you do, and where they can find you?
Yeah. So I am what I like to say the Dungeon Kage, but technically Dungeon Master. I don't want to get roasted in the comments for saying the wrong thing because people can get kind of technical. But anyway, I'm the Dungeon Kage for a show called Dungeons and Shinobis. So we basically do like a D&D anime Naruto theme podcast.
Mm-hmm. Nice, that's dope. And where can they find you?
Oh, basically anywhere you get podcasts. I'll send you like a link or something for the link tree thing. You just look up Dungeons and Shinobi. You'll probably find it somewhere on
Yeah,
Google and
it's pretty
whatnot.
easy to find if you just throw it in Dungeons and Shinobi. There's a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
just
dungeons and so the
yeah.
yeah, the
The Shinobi
Shinobi,
is the only thing that sets it apart because there's like a million
yeah, it
Dungeons and
definitely stands
Dragons
out.
podcasts.
Yeah, and the artwork is kind of if you guys are familiar with the Naruto graphics, it looks like that, but it just says Dungeons and Shinobi.
Yeah, we totally that's a totally original design by me. I wasn't trying
Yeah.
to copy anything. You know
I
how
mean
it is.
that's what life's about, bro. Inspiration, ripping some stuff. Hey,
Yeah, it's that recognizable thing. It's like, oh wait a minute, that kind of looks like Naruto. Why is that? And then, that's the grab. I don't know. That was the
yeah.
idea I came up with.
Yes, pardon me. It's crazy too. It's like not that we're talking about like ripping people's stuff. A lot of
All art is
animes,
imitation, right?
yeah, but also too like a lot of the animes they all kind of draw from like these similar stories, like the Monkey King story, and then like I forgot what the name is, but the basically the demon that's inside of Naruto, the nine-tailed fox, that's an actual like folklore, like that there's a story for that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
But
an ancient thing.
yeah, but I believe it's a woman in that story.
I think so. Well, one of like a lot of the stuff is inspired by that. There's a thing called Amaterasu, which he learns later on. It's like spoilers for Naruto, but there's a like jutsu that Sasuke, one of the main antagonists for the story, learns, and he like sets things on fire that are black. Amaterasu is the name of I don't remember the name of the religion in Japan, but it's the name of the sun god in that
Mm,
religion, I think, in like one of the specific religions. So they could draw a lot of stuff like that from folklore and ancient, myths and tales. But from what I understand, they don't really do religion like we do here in the West. It's more of like a superstitious type thing. So they have like shrines and everything that they pay offerings to. I'm probably super wrong about that. Nobody, I don't
I mean,
know.
we're not experts, also,
From
guys.
what
Like,
I understand, that's as much as I
yeah,
understand. If I'm wrong about some of the parts, sorry. I mean, I'm just a fan of it. I'm not like an expert or anything.
yeah. By no means are we saying that we're experts in Japanese mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, by
Well, I
by
mean,
no.
this is so I'm sure we'll talk about it more later, but this is like a homebrewed campaign that I've come up with. So, certain creatures and stuff are all like completely made up by me from, looking at other things and kind of compiling stuff together, as any good DM does. And
Yeah.
I looked up a lot of like Japanese folklore stuff just for inspiration. Like none of it's actually from that, but some like tales and stuff like the Nine Tails, because I didn't want to do like the Naruto thing. Like it's not a Naruto podcast. It's just like a flavored thing. Like I always say, Lord of the Rings, obviously Tolkien. Uh, like every D&D campaign is just like Lord of the Rings.
Mm.
but they're not playing Lord of the Rings. Like there's not Frodo, there's not, Samwise. It's somebody's completely own thing. They have like barbarians and different, ancient warriors or whatever, and they play as those. So it's all kind of like based in a setting, but it's not anything to do with that. Like a lot of the stuff is inspired from Tolkien's writings.
Do you
So that
use, sorry, but my bad. Do you
no,
use a
no, you're good.
specific platform to use it to play? Because I
Yeah,
forget the one I was on, but I remember I had to sign up and pick like my type of character and all of that type of stuff.
probably 5e. That's the like standard right now. Wizards of the Coast makes Dungeons and Dragons, and right now they're on their fifth edition.
Mm.
Oh, sorry, coffee's kicking in. They're on their fifth edition right now, so everybody just calls it 5e. But that's the like standard that everybody plays on right now. Ours is actually a variation. It's a homebrew made by a guy named I think his name's Tommy, but he goes by King on the Discord. Shout out to King for writing all this stuff. He's literally written like books and books and books, like comparable to some of the actual D&D stuff on the Naruto one. That's why we're able to make such a robust podcast out of it, is because it's essentially like its own game and module. It's pretty cool.
Mm. Nice. That's what's up, bro. It's very interesting. We'll get into a whole, but we'll do a deep dive and all that.
Yeah,
S-
sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool. This is natural. So for starters, could you let us know where were you born and raised?
Oh, Cardington, Ohio. It's just BFE, Ohio, like in the middle of nowhere in between two big cities, basically.
BFE. Sorry. What's BF?
Bumfuck Egypt. I don't wait, can you
Oh,
cuss on here?
yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Bumfuck Egypt.
Yeah, you never heard that expression before?
Nah, I never heard of that.
Really? Oh, maybe
Must
it's
be a
just something.
Midwest thing.
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
you
bumfuck
technically
Egypt.
Midwest?
Technically, yeah, we're like right on that line of Midwest. It's stupid because the Midwest stops at like I don't know, like Montana or some shit.
Mm.
I guess after that Super West. I don't know.
Right. Right. Okay, so bumfuck Egypt. So what type of things or activities are going on in your town, or is there something specific that you guys are known for?
Just drinking drugs, probably.
Okay,
Like
okay.
everywhere else. Yeah, I don't know. They're just hanging out in cornfields and fucking getting drunk and doing stuff. That's why I escape my imagination into D&D, man.
Okay, so there's no like niche
I
thing
mean,
that
they
comes
have
out of your town. Like this isn't where like rubber bands are made or like some
well, they
fucking like paper clips or some random shit.
I mean, there's factories and stuff, but they have with the popcorn festival is like the biggest thing they do around here. So there
Okay,
you go.
okay. So the popcorn festival, can you tell me a little bit about that or you don't know much?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, okay.
No, I went to Columbus for college, so that's basically as far as Ohio goes. That's where there's the only really place you can do things are in like the major cities. Honestly, it's
Columbus,
mostly there.
Cleveland, right? Or
Yeah, was it?
no, I was saying Columbus, Cleveland, and stuff like that.
Yeah, Columbus, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. Those ones are
Okay.
where the real stuff happens. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all that good stuff. Ohio has some cool things. It's just nowhere near the like rural parts of it.
Okay, okay. So how was it growing up though? How was it growing up in your town? Like what were some of the things you were getting into?
um, I don't know. It was probably just the standard like country. I mean, I grew up on like a country road that trucks couldn't even drive on because it was so small.
Hmm.
So it's like nothing crazy. And then when we moved into town when I was a kid, it was a little more exciting. I thought that, big town of Cardington, which is like, it's got a population of like 1,000 people or something. Uh, that was that was pretty much it. Then when I went to high school, I started going to like one of those trade schools. I don't know if
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and that was when I got to go to like a bigger city. It's called Marion. That was Marion, Ohio is like larger than my place, but it was still like, a pretty small town. And then after that, college, and then I ended up right back here. I live
Okay.
literally like 15 minutes away from where I used to live. They just got better internet connection now, so it's a lot nicer.
Okay, so but in your town, like Is it like big on farming, or is it just like a small town? Not much like
Yeah.
just factory jobs, regular day-to-day shit, nothing specific or anything. Like you're not known for like cows or anything. Like
No,
you
I
guys
mean
just
it's
yeah.
just there's like a couple of manufacturers here that have like, there's Honda, Whirlpool where they make like, washing machines and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. There's a lot of those type things. I think Conagra, the one that makes like popcorn or something, has something here. That's why they have like a popcorn festival. But other than that, I mean, it's nothing I really pay attention to. At least I was never into like
Mm-hmm.
FFA or anything like that. Where'd you
Yeah.
go? What'd you do?
My bad, it was breaking up.
From New York. Did you
Wait, sorry,
grow up
what?
in New York?
My bad, it was
Oh,
breaking up real
sorry.
quick.
Connection must be done.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, it's my bad. It's I think it's because I was receiving a phone call. So you asked where did I grow up? I actually grew up in the Caribbean. So I grew up in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, and then I moved here. Well, I moved
Why
to
the
the
fuck did you
Bronx.
leave that?
Um,
That sounds beautiful.
it is, but it's not much to do over there. But so I
What do
moved
you?
when I was like around 11 because my niece was born. So then
Uh,
it was kind of like my mom and me moved up here. I feel like it turned out for the best. Even though I moved to the Bronx, but I mean, hey, it's not that bad. It wasn't that bad. I wouldn't change it for anything. But
really?
yeah, it wasn't that bad. Like, well, for me, you get it. It took some time to get used to certain things, like culture, not even necessarily culturally, but like just the way kids interact with each other, stuff like that. Um,
Oh yeah, I bet it's a lot different than the
oh yeah.
than being on an island. Yeah,
So back on the island, I was in private school also. Maybe that's another added factor to why it felt like such a drastic change. But
yeah,
the like kids would cut your ass for crack on you and stuff like that. Or
yeah,
like yeah, a joke on not pick on you, but like just joking, regular shit, right?
yeah.
So
Kid
they'll do
shit.
stuff kid shit. So they'll do stuff like that, but in the Caribbean, it didn't seem as like it was just playful. You get it? Like it was jokes and stuff. But like when I moved to New York, it kind of there was like malicious intent behind these words. You get it? So it's like
Yeah,
it were really hurtful stabs. You get it? Like shit like that.
people were just kind of fucking with you, and it was all kind of like joking around and fun. But then when you get to a bigger city where you don't know as many people, yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. That was the same for me in my little town. As soon as I move up to like, Columbus or whatever, it was like the distance between everybody is so much further. Like I lived in an
Mm-hmm.
apartment where it's like you don't even know your neighbor, but like now that I live back out here, I know all my friends or all my neighbors' names, and like there's a guy next to me that like brews his own moonshine and shit, and he'll just leave like a jar of it on the porch. Like it's
Nice.
it's just yeah, it's so much, you know. I didn't really
Nice.
like the city life living personally.
So when was like the first time that you noticed like, okay, where I grew up was different than like where I'm at now? Or like when
Oh,
was like the
dude,
first
being
like
in
yeah.
college, going to
Okay,
college,
college?
even the trade school I went to had more, I guess, diversity. Like there was only one black kid in my actual high school, and he went by Coffee. That's how like fucking
Right.
fucked up our high school was. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
was it was like it was one of those just small town whatever thing. So going to like Tri Rivers, which was the trade school that was next to me, was like way more, I don't know, eye opening. It was like meeting new people and being like, oh, holy shit, like other people are different than just all the farmers I grew up next to. And then going to college was like, holy fuck, there's a whole nother world out there. You know what I mean? Like I'd
Yeah.
say honestly, the weirdest, this might sound crazy, but the biggest like thing that opened me up to other cultures was the food, like learning to like eat things other than just like cabbage and potatoes that I grew up with, and like getting to try, like food from every different culture, because in Columbus it's like a melting pot of all the different like uh cuisines and stuff. Like I've been to so many different restaurants that are just like mind blowing, and then I come back here and it's like whenever I eat my like family's food, it's like what the fuck? There's no like flavor. What the hell? It's just that was like the biggest eye opener to me. And then like, just making friends and stuff. Like I remember one time during college we had to do, I don't remember what it was for. It was like some cultural thing. I made a friend with this guy who was Muslim, and he took me to the largest mosque in Toledo, and I got to go to one of their like sermon. I don't know what you'd call it, but we met the imam. I
Yeah.
remember. I only remember a couple of things from it, but it was just so cool. You know what I mean? To like just be in different places and just see how other people live, and it's just like I don't know. Really opened up my mind. And then I came back and lived here and was like, yeah, whatever. I'm happy now.
Okay, okay. So, do you remember a specific, like, what was the first food? I'm guessing, or one of the first experiences where you're like, oh, wait, like, whoa, this food is like
Greek.
Greek food? Okay.
There was this Greek place called Yappy Greek, and the guy was actually Egyptian, but he lived like it was like right down the street from my apartment. So I'd like stop in there all the time to get food, and I'd
Mhm.
talk to him, and like it was just like I thought he was Greek because obviously he's making like Greek food, but I don't know. I'm so bad at geography. I don't even know how close like Greece is to Egypt. I have no fucking clue. Don't ask me. But he made hella good Greek food for being Egyptian. But that was super cool. I was like, holy fuck! Like that. I feel like Greek food for the kind of food I grew up around was a great transition because it's not just crazy blow your mind
Season, yeah.
seasoning and stuff. Yeah, yeah. It's more like the oh my god, I'm gonna sound like an idiot. What's the sauce that they put on like gyros
Uh,
and stuff?
Ziki?
Tzatziki.
Yeah.
Yeah, tzatziki. Yeah, like tzatziki stuff, sauce and stuff is like very easy to eat, not really like crazy, but it's got that flavor. And then you start getting into like Indian food, and there was a
Well, that's a huge jump. Hold
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying
on.
though. It's like you start out with the Greek, then you work your way up to like the Indian and different kind of things. I mean, they make the not spicy stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so crazy to like and everything. I don't know if it was just around the time that uh I was in college it started to kick up because I started going to college in like 2015, 2016. I felt like more and more places were opening up. Like there was an Ethiopian place that
Mm.
was in Columbus that opened up and it was like, holy shit, Ethiopian? Like that seems so specific, you know what I mean? But it was really good. I mean, it's
Do you
crazy
remember
to
the type
like
of platter they served? I
dude, I
never
have
had it.
no idea.
Okay.
I don't remember. The only one I always get it mixed up with and this is gonna sound what was it? The Mongolian grill. I don't know if I ever even went to the other um Ethiopian place, but like it was like really close to us. I just don't know if I even ate there. That's like places are crazy. Also, I think that was like one of those really expensive ones, and I was a broke ass college kid, so it was
Okay.
more like,
Okay.
oh, that's a sweet restaurant, but fuck that.
Oh,
I was more into the quick Greek food.
yeah, that's quick. There's like entry level spices for white people because it's like they got
Yeah,
seasonings and everything, but not too
exactly.
crazy. Yeah.
Nothing that's gonna like. I took my dad there, and he could eat it. That's like
Yeah.
that right there is like the level because like fucking salt is too spicy for that guy. You know.
I mean, but hey, being of like from spice culture or whatever I'll call it. I don't know what's the right term, but like just being black or Hispanic, you gotta like people that cook with a lot of seasonings. As you grow older, like you see like a lot of that shit is bad for you. You feel me? And it's like it definitely
Maybe some of
adds
it.
some of it overusing it,
Yeah,
exceeding the limits of the per dish and shit like that. Salt is really the killer. I
yeah,
I found like myself though, like even me, like going through like cooking and stuff, like starting my cooking journey, like remembering the dishes that like my mom would make. I
oh
found
yeah,
myself like substituting shit. Like, okay, I'm not gonna use Goya, all this Goya processed color shit. Like, I'm not
yeah,
gonna drown it with salt. Add salt maybe at the end. You gotta like just shit like
yeah.
that.
Learning to cook for yourself, I feel like is one of those like adult steps nobody talks about when you're like, holy fuck, this shit tastes so much better. It's way better for me and it's way cheaper. I just have to not be lazy and like
Yeah,
cook every night, you know? Which don't get me wrong, is a fucking struggle. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just gonna make a giant batch of something so I can just eat that for 3 days, you know?
nah,
But
definitely, definitely.
yeah, that's like once you realize all the shit that they put into stuff, it's just like, man, fuck that. Unless you're going out and eating every night at like a awesome place, which you can afford that type of shit, you know?
The intent also has a big part to do with it too, because it's like I don't know if you like as a kid like your mom would just tell you, oh, you gotta put love in it. Like I cooked it with love. Like that shit really counts, bro. Like if you
Yeah,
cooking some shit you don't want to cook it, that shit's gonna come out horrible.
Yeah, that's why fast food just kind of goes down easy and
Mm-hmm.
will kill you.
Yeah, right.
That's yeah, yeah. But food is a gateway to any culture. I feel like, you know what I mean. Like that is just a, because I remember my dad is a very like right leaning, has like a Trump flag outside of his house and everything.
Mhm.
And when I took him to the Greek place, I remember he was like really impressed with it, thought it tasted great. He was like, "Oh, that's so good," and he like talked to the guy, and he sat down at the table with me, and I remember this being like just something that was seared into my memory. And I hope to God he never hears this because he probably wouldn't want me to say it to anybody. But like, he was like, "Yeah, so I looked it up, and it turns out Egypt, like the majority of the religion there is Muslim." And he's like, "I thought, this guy just seems like he wants to cook good food. He's like, he doesn't seem like he wants to hurt anybody, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, Dad, they're people. What do you mean? Like, not
Yeah.
every single one of them is like out to kill you. What the fuck? Like, it was just such a mind blowing thing to me. It was like a generational, because my dad was like he was born in 51. Like, I was a
Yeah.
late baby, like an accident. So I always grew up with like an older dad anyway. But, he's like 70 now. So taking, like, for him to say that kind of stuff is just like, how do you not think of them as just people? I don't, what do you mean? Like, it was just such a mind bending experience for him, and I'm like, that's crazy. I don't know.
Me being tucked away in Ohio in a small town is kind of like, bro,
Yeah,
like, he's not getting these interactions. He might not hate many of these people. But he just from what he's hearing,
yeah,
he just has a certain thing in his mind. If I never heard of it's like if I never heard of the color blue, it's like once I find out see blue, it's like, oh shit, that blue is it's not
right.
as bad as they say it is. You
It's
get it?
like,
It's like,
oh wow, this is weird. I've been blasted by Fox Media to be told that these guys are all trying to cut my head off or whatever. And it's
yeah,
like, no, they're just
regular dudes.
different people on the different side of the planet that you don't know about, and you fucking don't take the time to get to know any of them. So you just think, oh, they're all just like the news or whatever. Even the news is just, you can't trust any of that shit,
Yeah.
like, and in either side, it's just nuts. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but these are definitely like nuanced ideas and the states of mind. Like, okay, hold on, I gotta whatever they're putting out there, I gotta do my own research or like think about it myself. I can't just go off of what the media is saying and like what's the angle that they're trying to push everybody into.
Well, I feel like that's the division, right,
Hmm.
between like a certain generation or like a certain age, because the people who grew up with the internet know, like, you don't trust every single thing you see on there. Like it
Oh
will,
yeah,
like, and I feel like the older people who, like, it's nothing against them. I'm sure when I'm in 50 years, when I'm like 70 years old, I won't know how to work whatever the fuck floating hologram thing is going on. Um, but it's just harder for them to learn. They didn't grow up using fucking Internet Explorer or whatever the hell and playing flash games and shit as kids in high school. They grew up with like pens and pencils, and like as time progresses, those people are gonna, uh, you know, naturally meet the end, and
hmm,
everyone will eventually just know how to work all this shit, and we'll be old people screaming at screens, not knowing how to work it, and be like, man, remember the good old days of computers when it was just a simple keyboard and you didn't use your thoughts or whatever. I don't know. I'm going down a conspiracy
no, I
theory now,
definitely, no, I
but
definitely know what you mean because I think about this often. Like I'm 29. I don't know how old you are, but
28.
28. Okay, so we're
Yeah.
in the same age group. So we saw like certain evolutions of like technology somewhat. Like
Yeah.
we're like that middle group where it's like I don't know how you directly grew up, but me, like I didn't have a computer in my house, so I had to go to the library to use a computer and shit like that.
Yeah.
When I lived in the Caribbean at least. And, well, even here too for the most part. But
Ours was
I
off and on. It was like a build that,
yeah,
sometimes that we
yeah,
paid
what's the
for type
build?
thing.
Yeah, like nah, ain't no way, bro.
Yeah.
But
Nowadays, they're talking about that being a utility. Have you seen that? It's like electricity now. Like
mm,
certain programs and shit will pay for it through the government. Sorry, off topic,
oh
but like
wow.
it's crazy to think that we're living in that kind of a time where they're talking about it being, I mean, they're saying putting it free in parks and stuff too. It's just crazy.
Nah, I mean it's definitely a utility that you need nowadays. You need it because we're so used to it. We become so accustomed to technology and everything. Like you need it. But
Yeah.
I would say like the key moment like where the internet took over it was once it became mobile. Like Like for
Yeah.
me, even like the PSPs, like having like internet connection on my PSP, like I could just hook up with the Wi-Fi, sign on to my face, not Facebook, MySpace at that time, I think, something like
Oh
that.
yeah, I forgot PSPs could do that.
PSP was
Perfect.
early, like right around the same time. Like you
I
ain't have
was
enough money to get a
like an actual
iPhone.
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could get that PSP.
I do the we always did the Nintendo DS and would send each other messages and
Mm.
shit on like the bus and everything because you could always get in the Picto chat and you never know who was what. That was oh man. That was before the internet, but it was like the LAN party on a bus type thing. you
I
know?
remember the people that was doing that because I was always like a PlayStation guy. I didn't have the Nintendo, but yeah, that was that was dope. But okay, so all right, so you growing up, I guess we're like kind of like speeding into like
Yeah, I'm
diving
just chatting,
in and
dude. If
out of like age
if
of
you don't
eras and
stop
stuff.
me, I won't shut up.
Nah, nah, it's perfectly fine. It's best like that. Like it's always good when like, the conversation just flows naturally. But okay, like to get back to the moment with your dad, like you said it was like a shock for you, but like how did you like were there any emotions that came from that situations, like any deeper realizations, or is like did you genuinely just feel like happy, like oh shit, like there's my dad, like learning new things and like
Yeah, I mean it was I would say it's mostly just like one, it's kind of crazy to think about I used to be like that growing up, because where you come from it, you just kind of naturally like that. And it's crazy to kind of just think like how far you've come by hearing that and be like, oh shit, like you've gone, 65 years or whatever of life and you haven't figured this out. That's crazy, And I'm like, I'm feeling pretty good about myself because I'm only like 20 something and I've already at least realized that much, but
mm-hmm,
other than that, I mean, it's just it's not like anything's changed. He still fucking wears. I like to think it's probably changed his mind at least a little bit, and like maybe before he dies, he'll realize. But I don't know. I think he also kind of does it just to be a shithead, like in group out group type thing. Because it's
mm-hmm.
it's 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 not like he would tackle somebody because they're wearing oh god, hijab, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
What's
hijab, yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like he would like tackle somebody for wearing that or anything like that, but like he'd probably make a shitty joke or something. And it's like, I don't know if he'll ever be past that. It's just kind of like a whatever. It's an eye roll thing at this point. It's like they're too old to hope for anything better. At least they realized something and that was cool. you know, it's
Nah,
it's
yeah.
almost like I just gotta hope I'm not like that when I get older. Like I can't imagine I would be, but it's nuts to think about what time does to a person. Although
Oh
I
yeah.
imagine being a Marine Vietnam veteran, you probably just never really had any other kind of a mindset.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, not necessarily. No, I mean, he just comes from a certain era, and it's just like it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. You get
Yeah.
it?
What about your parents? Were they from the islands?
Yeah. So my mom is Dominican, and my father is Crucian. Well, he was Crucian. He passed away. Well, not Crucian. He was from Saint Kitts, but
Damn.
that's where they met in Saint Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. But as far as like my mom's side, like my mom, she was pretty chill. Like she's Dominican. Like obviously we come from like NDR. Our family is kind of black, even though I'm the darkest person like in my whole family. But
Oh, really?
yeah. Well now because my grandmother's brother passed away. His name was literally like Blackie. But
Jesus. Yeah,
yeah,
see?
but so when it comes to like Dominicans, it's like a touchy subject because it's like there's so many factors that like play into like the racism and like just the cultural uh
Yeah, and a lot of people are too
behaviors
stupid to know what the difference between
and that
Dominican and something else even is.
yeah. But even with like the Dominicans, like a lot of it is like ignorance and just like a lot of them are like for lack of a better term like hillbillies and shit. You get it? So it's like
Really?
yeah, they refer to themselves as a campesino, which is like a hillbilly, is like a person from the farm like land, like we're from the country, from the mountains. Like
Isn't it like an island?
it's an island, but it's huge. Like there's
Like
mountains,
a big
everything.
ass island with
Yeah,
a
it's
bunch
big.
of a
It's
bunch of oh god, that sounds like a redneck's paradise, dude.
oh yeah,
They always
definitely.
want an island. Has anybody informed the Republican Party about the Dominican Republic?
Yeah,
You guys got an island. There you go.
nah, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah, I bet
but
they get along great.
yeah, it's definitely like it's just weird because there's a lot of this shit comes from like colonialism, like remnants of that, and then part of the education system, like why shit is so fucked up. Like in the countryside, like in the hillbilly parts, there'll only be like one school for like maybe two towns. Like this was before, you get it? So you got to think about like there is not really that much education. So it's like let's say you have a family of five, you have to pick one child to go learn stuff. You get it? It was like,
Really?
yeah, my mom was that one. Like my mom was the daughter that had like they're like, all right, you're gonna go to school and high school and then college. You get it?
Huh. And they just
Yeah.
pick one person to go do what do they oh, so wait, when they do that, do they like go off and like make money and send it back? Or what's the point?
Sometimes they do that, but it's definitely circumstantial. But like in my situation, it was like I want to say there was like six brothers and sisters, right? I think the eldest brother went to college also, but my mom is the second oldest. So if
Okay.
they're the only ones that went to college, I think I don't know if he went to college because he's really smart, but I don't know if he went to college or not. But she's the only one that went to college. She ended up going to medical school in Mexico and all that too. Also,
Oh shit.
yeah,
And here you are podcasting.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Nah, it'd be like that. It's funny, bro. Yeah, so she was the one, and then everybody else just like stood around the farm and helped out and worked and shit, bro. Honestly,
Yeah.
it sucks though, but it's kind of like so
Maybe I don't
the
know, dude. Sometimes I think. I mean, I'm sure this is just like a shitty view from a bad perspective, but sometimes I yearn for just like a simpler, just like get up in the morning and go do your thing and go to bed at night. Like I don't know. It almost seems like
it's
more
definitely chill as
peaceful,
fuck.
but
It's
yeah,
definitely chill as fuck. Like me going to the farm and shit. Like I remember, like okay, like I remember seeing like the whole rundown, like because it'll be like Christmas time, so they'll do certain like certain traditions. Like, all right, we're gonna go grab a cow, we're gonna grab a pig, we're gonna go slaughter them, and then take them to the butcher shop, and then we're gonna get some money, and then get some meat, and then we're gonna also cook. You get it?
and
And
that's like
then
your whole day.
that's like the whole day.
That's
Well, that's like the morning time, the crack
oh
of
yeah.
dawn.
Like
Yeah,
it's a hard like I'm not saying it's easier by any means. I just wonder like, who's
it's
really
very
happier.
simple. Very
Yeah.
simple. It felt good. Like every time I remember those times, it just seems like so simplistic. And also over there
Yeah.
is like nobody goes hungry really. Yeah, like your neighbor's gonna give you food. Like that's the culture there. Like they all eat at 12 o'clock. They're eating lunch. Like
That's
and then it's like
awesome.
if you don't have lunch, hold on, my wife is gonna bring us over a plate for you too. You
That's
get
so
it?
nice. Yeah, that's so much more communal than here where it's like, go fuck yourself. I get it.
Yeah,
It's almost like a fucking fight here, it feels like sometimes, where everyone's just in a big old cage together.
yeah,
Like, fuck
definitely.
you.
Word, but that's enough about me. So back to you. So okay, so you feel like that was like early signs of seeing like, all right, my dad maybe could change or not, but like it, that was a first step for him or something like. Oh, it just showed you a different side of him that you never saw before.
Yeah, it's nice to see people learn.
But for you, so for you specifically, when did you like notice? Because you said like you weren't necessarily like you had certain ideas maybe, but it was from lack of like experience from knowing people and stuff.
Oh
So when
yeah.
was like the first time when you like realized that wait, like hold on, like all this shit I'm hearing is like either not right or is it deeper than that? Like when was the first time when you noticed like
I feel like, well, okay. So there's a big chunk of my life that I don't really like bring up a whole lot, but have you ever heard of Mormons?
yeah.
You know the religion? I grew up
Mhm.
Mormon. My family
Oh
was
yeah?
Mormon. Yeah, so it
Oh, so
was
you
like
left after your thing? What's it called? What's the thing called when you leave? Where they give you the time to go out and party and to know if
oh,
you
Rumspringer? No,
Rumspringa.
you're thinking of Amish. Amish is
Ah,
different
Michelle.
than
Sorry,
Mormon.
sorry, sorry, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, it's easy
Oh,
to get
Mormon
confused.
is the not Latter Day
Latter-day
Saints.
Saints. Yeah, they're not
Oh,
Mormon anymore. Whatever the fuck. It's a racket.
so it is Latter Day Saints Mormons, right?
Yeah, they're the same thing. They just don't go by it anymore. I guess they're saying that's like a term they don't like, even though in like 1997 or some shit. They had an entire program about like call us Mormons, but whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm
Okay.
not a huge fan of them personally, but
Okay.
I won't go any further into it than that. Just do some research. Look up the Mormon Wars. It's pretty fucking interesting.
The Mormon Wars? Were
Yeah,
you
there's an
involved in the Mormon Wars?
no. I'm saying like just Google Mormon Wars if you want to know more about why Mormons are fucked up. You'll learn a lot about their prophet Joseph Smith. Anyway,
Hmm.
um, I
The
grew up that way.
14-year-old child, right? At the
More than
this.
one. I
Well, I
shouldn't laugh
mean,
at that. That's not funny.
okay, yeah. Oh yeah,
But it's
that's
yeah, that's yeah, that really did happen.
we
It's
could
fucked
get.
up.
Damn, I saw like some sick shit. So damn, what's the girl's name? I'm sorry that I'm cutting you off,
No, you're
but it
good.
was like something about the Mormon church, and it was like apparently there was like a division that broke off, and they were doing like demonic shit, and like there's a lot
Yeah,
of
that
like
was
child, yeah,
the
CP stuff and all that.
fundamentalist, I think is what they called them. They were an offshoot. That's not like actual Mormons. I mean, that's like somebody saying like, "Hey, I'm a Catholic and I'm gonna go like sacrifice people." Like
Yeah.
that's just a
Mhm.
cult, you know, some
No,
fucking
yeah.
Waco shit. He just pretended to be a Mormon, but I'm not defending Mormons. Mormons are their own thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so life was in a very narrow lens for me for a long time growing up, and then my parents got a divorce, and then pretty much stopped going to the church, which was like, and I had a buddy who was super just against religion and would, you know, basically like question everything. Like he wouldn't be like, "Hey, you wrong." He would just be like, "Hey, think about this, think about that," and it would be like, "Oh yeah,
Hmm.
you're right. That doesn't make any sense." And eventually, you know, it was like, "Hey, I'm gonna start thinking for myself and try and read this book more and pay more attention." And it was like, fucking, this is not the afterlife, you know. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so that was a very, I guess, divergent path for me is like becoming a not Mormon because I would heavily identify as like probably atheist now, but um that's a huge eye opener. Was like breaking off from religion, and then probably going to college was like the last like big thing for me. And then after college I graduated and went moved back into my hometown, got married, settled down. Long story. I don't talk about myself a whole lot. Sorry.
No, I get it. Well, I like to ask because
Yeah, no, you're
this
fine.
show is about you. So it's like, we don't have to talk about your
No,
deep
you're
personal
good.
lives, but we could cover it like from a you get it from like a not
Yeah.
yeah.
I just I I just was like I was realizing that every time you started asking me questions, I would just turn it around and ask you questions, and I do that a lot. So
I mean, you're a podcaster
sorry
also,
about that.
so
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Um, Different ways. I don't do actually me and my wife were talking about, or me and my friends too. We're talking about doing like a movie review podcast for terrible movies. It would be a
Oh
little bit
yeah,
more
that's
like
great.
this because we
That's
like
great.
just awful, awful movies are so much fun to watch. But
Are you gonna
it'll
watch
just be
them
a for me thing.
as you do the podcast, or are you gonna
No, more
it's
just
gonna
like
be like a
this.
recap,
Yeah, like a recap. You just sit and just bullshit
book
about it because
club,
yeah, basically, but like a movie club because I'm
movie
too
club?
dumb to
Yeah.
read whole ass book. At least like once a week. Um, Fuck, I don't even remember what I was going into with that. Is this recorded, by the way? Or is
Yes,
this
this is
like
recorded.
okay? So there's like they can see me.
Yes, they can see you also.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, cool. Is
Okay.
I saw you hit a. Is that do you
That's
edit
cool.
this?
I was gonna ask. No, no, I was
Okay.
gonna have it. Yeah, I was gonna ask you. What are you smoking over there?
Oh, this is my own. It's Ohio. We got legal weed now. This is
No, I
my
know,
own.
but what's the rig? Like, what's the setup?
Oh, it's just a little vaporizer.
Oh,
So you
oh,
just
okay,
put it
nice,
in
nice,
that,
nice.
and it's got like a little tube thing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the same ones that they used to put the balloons on them.
yeah. This one has a balloon attachment. I just don't like it because balloons get gross. But this thing's kind of gross too.
The
So I was
balloon is
trying to
kind
keep
of
it clean.
weird. It's like
Yeah, yeah. When you're doing it by yourself, it's fine, but it's still just resin gets built up a lot, and I don't
also
know.
because it's vapor, so like I feel like the vapor's too light to be in the vessel of a balloon. Like maybe with the tube, it's kind of easier. You get it?
Yeah, this is like a hookah. Is the way I'd
Yeah.
say it. It's like hitting like
Hmm.
a little hookah. I just sprinkle some in every once in a while, mix it up, and yeah, it's nice. But
How long does the weed last you?
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm a medical patient too, so I was able to like buy weed before it became legalized. So that's what
Yes.
this is. Um, but I don't know. It probably like an ounce every like 2, 3 weeks, something like that.
Oh,
Something
two,
makes it.
3 weeks?
Yeah, I smoke a lot of weed.
Wow. No,
Um,
that's not a lot at all.
yeah, yeah, that's okay. Good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's like I don't smoke like too much, and these things keep it so it's way more like it depends really on the month and stuff too, because my wife also smokes.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Gets
well, she
tricky when the
used to.
wife smokes also, right?
Yeah, exactly. But this it makes it last a lot longer because you just put a little bit in, and then it's like instead of smoking a whole ass joint or something like that, you just do little bits at a time and able to just kind of have a more even high. I don't know. I play a lot of video games and edit a lot, so it's just a really nice way of just, I guess,
Vibing out.
smoking. Yeah, it's kind of like that's what I was really worried about. That's why I ran downstairs and made some coffee. It was because I was playing games and then my phone went off and was like, "Hey, you got this interview." And I was like, "Oh shit, I'm fucking stoned. I need to get some coffee." So,
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely helps with performance sometimes when you're talking, but it also gets me trailing off like this.
No, that's good, bro. So growing up in Ohio, like any like Slender Man interactions or anything like that?
Oh my God. They always they that's yeah, they say that that's what they I've been around for every single person that I know who's like had these interactions and stuff. I've been around for these things and it's never anything. It's
What do
always
you mean?
just
So you've been
it's
in
just
the
bullshit.
actual
I've been okay. We took this. There was a place. I have no idea who did it, so I'm not like incriminating anybody. But there was this place called Salem Road. It's like just down the ways from me, where my like it was a ways away from where my high school was, and it had this old house on it that everyone would call the Salem House, and they said it was haunted. And they would go into this old ass house and run around in there and be idiots and shit. It was just an abandoned property, like looking back on it now, being older, it's like that was somebody's fucking house, and they were probably sick and tired of teenagers fucking running around inside there. Well, there was stories on stories where it's like shit's in the barn because there's like this big red barn out back too, and then they'd say like, oh, if you go in there, you're cursed, blah blah blah. And we used to go there sometimes and take a Ouija board and like try and, like talk to him in the next to it and everything. But by the time I started going there, some dumbass had already burnt the house down. It was
oh
like
no.
it happened like 2 or 3 weeks before we went. So it was just this burnt house that's like crumbled down to just the fucking, I don't know what you call it, foundation, and this big old barn that was like right next to it. And they were like, "Oh, let's just do the Ouija board here," because we didn't know that the house had fucking burnt down. So we started like doing the Ouija board, and they're like, "Oh shit, there's something in the bushes," but it was like literally just probably a squirrel or something that moved around. Like, walk over there, there's nothing there. Walk over here, there's nothing over here. It's like everyone's freaking out and flashing their lights and being like, "We gotta go," and I'm just like, there's nothing.
Relax.
I don't want to be like a killjoy or anything, but like there's nothing here. What are we even doing, guys? Like you're just
Yeah.
freaking out for no reason whatsoever. But that's pretty much what all my interactions have been. Like I had a buddy who used to like to go into his old basement that was like unfinished and shit, and he would take chalk and draw like pentagrams on the floor and put little candles at each point. Seriously, like probably some fucked up mental illness shit now that I think about it, looking back. But he would like make I actually remember this really specific time that he made a Ouija board and he spelled maybe wrong. He put mayby. So we would always say mayby. But anyway, he'd like make a Ouija board and then like we'd fuck with it, like the candles and everything. And it's always fun to like freak yourself out. And I think that's kind of like that's what horror truly is, right? It's like the
Mhm.
unknown inside of the human brain or whatever. That's where the real scariness comes from. But anytime somebody would be like, "Oh no, it's real. Like I know witchcraft. I know like this thing's real." It's like bullshit, dude. Like I love going to haunted houses. I love doing all the like freaky, scary stuff, but it's just, I mean, we all know it's not real. It's clearly very
Oh
obviously not.
yeah.
As far as I can tell. Like I'm not saying that like there's not an afterlife or ghosts or anything. Like there could be. Fuck, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just saying, as far as I've seen, none of that shit's.
So you have no experience with cryptid or spirits or aliens or any of that, anything of the sort.
No, and I feel like if you're fucking drawing pentagrams on the ground, lighting candles around it, and using a fucking Ouija board, even if the dumbass spelled may be wrong, I feel like that would still be like I'm if you're coincidences and stuff and that shit actually happening, that's got to be high up there on it, right? Like I
Hmm.
feel like that's just begging for like a demon to come fucking do something to you. So if I missed it there, then I'm pretty sure I'm never gonna see one because I'm not doing that shit anymore. I'm way too old to be drawing pentagrams and
Yeah, no, I
they
get
put me in a fucking hospital for that now.
it.
Like there's a certain age limit you get to where you're past like, oh, I'm gonna go get a therapist for him, and you're just like, he's gone, we gotta like lock him up and shit. So instead I just play D&D and make all that fucked up stuff in my campaign. Boom. How's that for a transition?
That's
Look at me
great,
go.
because that was gonna be the next question. When did your love for like Dungeons and Dragons initiate? And anime. So
Oh,
first, let's do a Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons was way later. Dungeons and Dragons was like freshman year of college. I met this guy named Levi, and he had a brother who was a DM, and he was telling me about it in class, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like fun," because like I don't know, it just I was like I didn't know what I had expected, but it wasn't D&D, like, and we played it, and I just fucking loved it. It was so much fun, and then the group kind of fell apart, and I didn't play for a little while, but then somebody when I was working at a bar um wanted to try it out, like one of my fellow bartenders, so we started up another one. I did it for like I DM'd that one for like a year, and then that one kind of fell out, and then I started up another one just after COVID, and that one went for like a year or two. But it's always been something that I really like playing, but I'm not very good at following the like pre-built modules, so it never went super. I don't know. I always felt like whenever I tried to run somebody else's thing, it was just hard to keep in your mind because like
If not your story.
yeah, that and it's really tough because those modules, if you ever see them, they're like pre-built to try and like guess what people might try and do. But like there's also times where if you forget to do something as a DM because you forgot like one little paragraph at the beginning of the book or something, then the entire thing's fucked. Like, oh, you guys were actually supposed to be sneaking around this entire time. So it doesn't make sense that you just walked over to this thing, but I'm the DM, so I'm the game basically, and I have to come up with like a way around this, and then all of a sudden you've like diverge so far from the module that like you can't even get it back on track because it's like at this point the character should be doing blank, and you're like, well fuck, they got a magic carpet and they've already
Hmm.
like shot a dude. Like we are so past whatever the fuck this book is wanting me to do right now that
Yeah.
it almost felt like chains to me. Like it was like just limiting everything you can do because D&D, the beauty of it, especially for DMing, is getting to just make up whatever you want. That's what makes D&D so much fun and so much different than like Elden Ring or Skyrim or something like that. I'll say Baldur's Gate 3 is actually a really good, like if you ever wanted to try D&D but you don't actually like what you were telling me earlier, if you don't have like the time to play it or whatever, but you always thought it was like kind of cool looking, there's a video game called Baldur's Gate 3 that kind of walks you through, like it's like a turn-based game. So I don't know if you have ever played, I don't know, like I
No,
think
yeah, I
Final.
played the yeah, Final Fantasy, all those type of things. I like those type
Yeah,
of games, yeah.
those like turn-based, yeah, you like take your actions type things. um Jesus, now that I think about it, Pokemon is
Pokemon, I thought of a
Pokemon's kind of like
Yu-Gi-Oh.
that.
Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
also, or
Huh, I never really thought of that. That's funny,
yeah.
like in a more distilled down way. But
And they all are board games, trading card games, kind of.
yeah,
Yeah. Because
yeah, so
mhm.
that's cool. I never really thought about that. That like just hit me. um Anyway, but Baldur's Gate 3 is a lot like that. So it'll have you pick like your race and your class, so you can be like, uh barbarian orc or a dwarven bard or something like that. and then you can play whenever you want, and the game is essentially the DM. Like technically it's a little bit limiting, like more limiting than actually having a DM, but
Yeah.
they do a really good job at making it feel like you're playing D&D, because there's a lot of times where you like go to do something and you're like, "Oh, this is a fuck around thing." And they'll like have it be a secret door or something. Like it's just really cool the way that they get that kind of feel across. So I recommend to anybody, if you like uh if you're thinking about trying out D&D but you don't really like know anybody to play it with, or you don't have the time to actually commit to like an hour or two a session or something, Baldur's Gate 3 is like a great niche to fill. And at the very least, if you can get your mind around that, a lot of the spells and classes and shit like that actually are like the base D&D 5e. um and it's just really cool.
Nice. Have you ever heard of, damn, I forget the name because the last guy I had on, he played another game. I think it was related to D&D. It's called Warhammer. Warhammer, something like that.
Yeah, I've never played it, but yeah, that's a good
Okay.
one.
Okay.
It's really popular. I don't really know it that much though. I know Magic the Gathering made a set of Warhammer. That's about
Nice.
it.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. Wow. So what was the thing that like drew you to the D&D though? Like, was it just like the community thing? Was it the fantasy? Was it
I
just like,
mean, just it's like I'm a big gamer. Like I've always been really into video games. So that's always been fun to me. And I don't know, like Lord of the Rings and all those, I feel like there's never really been a game that lets you play like D&D. Like as close as Baldur's Gate 3 gets, it's still not quite like playing D&D. And when I first went to it, I just thought it would be a really fun thing to like get drunk and play at. And now that I've been playing for a really long time, it's a really fun thing to get drunk and play at. It's just fun, you know, you sit around with people, it's got that social aspect of kind of like we play online because obviously one of our uh I don't know what to call them. One of our friends, one of our characters, one of our
cast members? Yeah,
cast members.
cast.
Yeah, there we go. One of our casts is from the UK. I don't even know his real name. He just goes by Beans. Um, but he lives obviously way too far away for us to like record in person. Like the dream is one day we'll get all into like a room and actually play D&D in real life, because that would be cool. But
When you guys play, do you like when the times that you have played in person, did you come with cloaked up or like in character as a minotaur or a
when
knight
I
or
play in
whatever?
person, yeah, yeah, I do
Yeah?
that. I actually have a entire like robe thing that I wear for like when I DM here for like my
Uh,
wife and her, or actually my wife has been DMing for our in-person one lately. But when I do play in person in DM, I have like a little robe thing I wear. I wore it to the Renaissance Festival here a couple of
Nice.
times.
It's
It's
high
pretty cool.
quality.
No, it's a piece of shit that I got from Amazon, but because it's just a robe, it doesn't have to be high quality, especially when you're just like doing it for fuck arounds. It's great. It gets the point across without having to put any effort into it. It's great. I also bought little like LED light bulbs that make like the flame flicker type thing, and I put
Mm,
those in lamps around, so it's like kind of in a dungeon whenever we play in like the kitchen or something like that.
nice.
um but yeah, it's fun to go all out. It's always like you don't have to do all these things. Like you could play D&D at like a restaurant with fucking forks and knives and shit, or like on a plane or something. Like you can technically play D&D anywhere, but the more you can get into it, the more fun it kind of is. And she has a little brother who's like 13 now, I think, but the first time we played, I got to like set up lights and stuff, and we like did the whole thing, and it was just really fun for him. So you don't have to do that. Like when we play, it's a little bit more um, I don't know, I guess sterile is the best way I can put it. I try and make it so I'm not like hitting my desk or anything. Like I have some dice and stuff here just for uh the sound and stuff, but normally like unless I'm rolling like a D20, I try not to move too much while I'm recording because I don't have the best setup in the world.
And
So
that's
it's
good.
like I think my boom has been falling this entire time, like slowly out of frame. But anyway,
You still sound
um
good though.
yeah, thanks. that was a whole thing because we don't do video or anything like that. So it's all audio. So I try and make it like as good as a record. I'm not used to doing like the video stuff. That's why it was a little hard getting into the Zoom and everything. But um, it's a lot more like, okay, the only thing I'm gonna do is roll the rest of the time. Sometimes I even like have my eyes closed when I'm trying to like describe a scene or something. So it's nice to just be an audio only podcast. Um,
And it's the actual gameplay, right? Like
yeah,
your is the actual gameplay. Like you
it's
go in as you go.
heavily edited. It's a lot of D&D. Does like if you listen to our podcast, that's not what D&D sounds like. Like there's kind of a difference between performing a D&D podcast and like playing a D&D podcast because like
Okay, what are some of the differences?
well, playing in person and not recording it or anything, you're not doing this for anybody. So like if I'm playing in person and I have a little gnome character and I have, my like let's say it's my wife and like her little brother or something. Um if we're playing with them and I say, "Oh, the little gnome comes up to you and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" blah blah blah, like if I talk like that and I just kind of like act it out a little more, that would be more of an in-person thing. But if I'm doing it on like an audio podcast and I have like, my characters are gonna meet a gnome, then I'm gonna be like, out of the bushes, you hear like a little bit of a shake, and then this gnome pops out and it's like, "Hi, what are you doing here? I'm gonna get the blah, blah, blah." Like, I'm gonna like throw way more zhuzh into it, and I'm gonna try and like really perform it up because it's not just for them; it's also for like
The
people
audio
who are
experience, yeah.
listening. Yeah, like so it's a lot different performing it for people when other people are going to be listening as opposed to just doing it for fuck arounds with your friends. Because like the one key difference that I'll say personally for myself is that I don't drink when I do uh this one, or like for my like little brother-in-law and stuff. I don't drink for him either. If you're listening, Shannon, I doubt she's out there, but if my mother-in-law's listening, I don't drink when when I play with him. I swear to God. Um, but like if it's just like me and my friends, because like I got a buddy who comes up every once in a while, we'll play D&D. Um, like if we're playing, I get like kind of tipsy or something. But like if I'm doing it for an actual like performance thing, then I don't drink or anything like that for that, because you got to really be on your game when you're a DM, because you got to kind of, it's like, I don't like it, but I like it at the same time. I seem to always be the DM whenever I play. But you got to have to be ready for anything, and you got to be ready for all scenarios, because you're playing with other human beings and you can't account for every single thing that human being is going to try and fucking do. The only thing you can hope for is to be half decent at improv and be like, "Oh shit, well, I guess like obviously you want to have like structure. You don't want to just go into it 100% blind and have absolutely no idea what's going on, or else it's just going to feel like nothing. Like they're doing absolutely nothing and you're just bullshitting." But like as long as they are within like the confines of whatever you have, they can do.
Going back. Okay, so how do you get into anime and stuff?
Anime? Oh, Toonami. That's easy.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Toonami was great. Stay up for that shit. Watching what was the Inuyasha and Bleach, Naruto, obviously. It was those are like the golden years of staying up too late and watching it way past my bedtime. Um, but then I don't know, as I got older, I just never really grew out of it. I just, I don't know, like Naruto kept being cool. Um, that one was huge because it lasted for goddamn ever. Like I remember starting watching it when I was a kid back in like I was like 11 or something, like in 2007 or 8 or something like that. And it just kept going. Like they eventually made Shippuden, which I feel like is
Mhm.
probably where a lot of people actually started now, which makes me feel old. But like I remember Shippuden coming out and being like, "Oh man, that's so cool." And then somewhere along the way, anime actually became awesome. Like everybody just started liking it, and that's super fucking cool because I don't know, it's like something I was into all the way back from like being in junior high and people making fun of me because uh in football I tried, like I don't know if I actually did, but like trying to fucking Naruto run in football or something. Like it was just like dumb shit like that. Um, but now it's just everywhere and it's sweet. So I figured, yeah, fuck it. Like this seems to be a pretty big thing that is actually cool now and I know a lot about. So I might as well, try and start a podcast on it. There's like 1,000. Like I think the number one D&D podcast is obviously it's Critical Role with like Matt Mercer and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but I think another one is like called Not Another D&D Podcast. That's how like many goddamn D&D podcasts there are out there. So I just wanted to do something a little bit different. There was already like one or two anime ones, but it seemed like more of a cool niche thing, and that's just what I like doing. So had the time and money to do it, and I figured why not? This is a fun little hobby, you know.
So who's your favorite character from Naruto?
From Naruto,
Hmm.
I I think his name's Shino.
Shino, the
Uh,
dog guy?
no, that's Kiba.
Yeah,
Shino's the bug guy with like the
oh yeah,
dark glasses and stuff. And it's not because I like the character a whole lot. I've just always been a really big fan of the like
insects.
insects and stuff. Yeah,
Oh yeah, really?
Aburame. Yeah,
Nice,
it's
nice.
cool as shit. I just love the idea of like hollowing out, like they hollow out their body and like let bugs live inside of them. That's so fucking hardcore, dude. Like it's just weird. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that is what they do, right? Ew.
Yeah, they got bugs
EBG was just thinking about it.
crawling all throughout them, but they work for them, man. It's sweet. It's like being a little colony that just walks around. Anyway, I put that in my podcast just because I like it so much.
Like you did a storyline about it.
Yeah, like there's a kid that they're with right now who I don't know, I guess spoilers for anybody who goes and listens to it after this, but they have like a kid who's from the Ambarame clan, and I don't know. I felt like they didn't really get shit in the anime, but their jutsus and stuff were so cool that I wanted to make like a whole thing just with them. So I kind of made up my own lore and stuff about them. Like I don't want to spoil anything for the podcast. So if anybody's actually planning on going and listening to it, don't listen to this part. But like, I don't think this is. I don't know if this is actually lore accurate, but I think I read a fan fiction one time that I thought was really cool, which is like all the Ambarame guys have those black glasses because they only see through the parasites and they've already like ate their eyes. Like their eyes were just part of like the sustenance for the bugs, you know what I
Those are the
mean?
first things that go, usually.
So yeah, so that's what that's canon for my story. I don't know if I've ever even said it in there, but like that's just one of those little things that don't really come up, but like I just like to think or about. But yeah, it's like I just feel like they didn't do anything with them. Like they had this cool ass like people that just work in such a different way than any of the other because all the other like Shinobi have, fire and eyeballs that hypnotize people and stuff. But like I guess there's the Inuzuka with Kiba, like you were talking about with the dog. I guess they have like a connection with their animal too. But I don't know. It's just cool. It's like a little colony that lives inside of them. It's just that
Yeah.
one's always just fascinated me.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a Naruto fan. I think I only watched up to like after the training exams and all of that.
Yeah,
Like
the
I
original.
saw, yeah. Then I saw a couple of things like here and there. I'll pop in and out. I've never been a fan. Naruto's kind of annoying to me because every time he says I'm gonna be the next Hokage, that just shit just makes me like shut the fuck up.
Just shut the fuck up, Naruto. Yeah,
Or
yeah. I think there's I'm not saying it's like the best anime ever, but it's a good one. I mean, it's
it's
just
a
kind
good
of
one.
like
It's a
a
good one. My girl's actually like really into Naruto now. Like
really
she's been like binging. She's already into like Shippuden and all that. Like
yeah.
she's way deep into Shippuden too. Like yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. There's a lot of filler and stuff, but like my buddy just started watching. Actually, I think he just finished it. And he was I mean, it's a ride. It's cool. There's just a lot of parts where you're just like, what the fuck? Like it's
I
I
told
don't
her you
know.
can't skip the filler, man. You have to watch the filler.
Yeah, I don't even think I've seen all the filler, from to be completely honest. I
Oh
watched
no.
it. Yeah, I stopped watching before Shippuden came out, and then like retroactively like rewatched it a couple years ago. And I really like anime, so like I take a lot of like one of the things they're doing right now is like traveling through the forest and stuff. And have you ever seen Avatar or like Korra, anything like that. Avatar: The Last
Oh, Airbender.
Airbender.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. There's a second like arc of Avatar. It's like his next incarnation, which is Korra. She's the
Yeah, yeah.
like
I know Korra. Yes.
yeah. So the world that she lives in, it's kind of like that. Like
Mm.
so there's a little bit more like I guess it's post like season 3 when they have all the spirits and stuff around and everything. So a lot of my inspiration for the wilds of it because I always thought it was kind of boring in Naruto how it was always just like I guess it's always just about clans clashing. Like that's the story and that's what like um Kishimoto wanted to write, so that's what he did. But me personally, I think it's kind of fun to mash all that up and make it a little bit more like that way you just got more things to go against rather than just like clan versus clan fighting like they did in Naruto. I wanted to like kind of make it our own and change it up and take stuff from like every anime that I like and mash it
And
all into one ball.
I'm not sure, but is the Naruto world on Japan? Like, do they take place on Japan, or is it like
I
its
don't
own
know.
universe?
No, no, they have their own like it's its own separate world. Like there's a map where like and that's we don't use that either. Like we don't have like
Like,
there's
you
a
don't use the map?
specific no. So the map that Naruto uses, there's like specific nations and specific spots, and mine's different. It's all just made up. But I use the same names because like it was like I was telling you earlier before we were on mic, I think even, but it's worth saying again if I didn't. Um, every D&D campaign is kind of like Lord of the Rings. Like everyone is being, a fighter, a halfling, which is like a hobbit, or they're taking all these like inspirations from like Lord of the Rings, but they're not playing Frodo and there's not Sauron that they're going against. They can, but like
Hmm.
in D&D it could be anything, like a lot of the times people will use what Wizards writes, which is um they have like the Red Wizards of Thay. Like there's been a D&D movie that came out recently. All that stuff was like technically part of lore. He was in like I don't know. I don't even remember where they started out in, but they were like in Icewind Dale, then they go to Baldur's Gate. Like these are all like places within the Forgotten Realms, which is its own setting for D&D. So that is loosely kind of inspired by Lord of the Rings, but they're not the same because like none of those people are in the same place. So
What's the main novel for Dungeons and Dragons, or is it just the Dungeons and Dragons like
honestly, I don't know if
storyline?
I don't think they actually have written like a sit down novel book. I don't even know if it's mostly based off of old modules that like Gary Gygax and stuff created. He was like the creator of D&D. They had Wizards of the Coast would put out these publishings that were like adventure guides that would have like the one of the biggest people was like Asirak, who was like one of the big liches who was kind of I guess think almost Voldemort inside of
Hmm.
like the Horcruxes. It was kind of like that. Like you go and destroy the Lich's uh oh, I don't remember the name of it. It's like something factory, refractory. I don't remember what the name is. But anyway, that's like Tomb of Horrors. That was like one of the original like dungeons that you would crawl through. But the story is more about like there is no like 100% storyline as far as I understand, that is like this is exactly what happens unless it's something that's like setting up for a playable adventure. Like I'm sure stuff has been written about the in between parts that people don't actually play in, but because people play those modules, you can't 100% say like the demon or this guy was slain or something like that. Like I don't think that there's like a novel it goes off of. It's more of like inspired by the need for a non-published story. Like they wanted to make Lord of the Rings, but they can't straight up be like, "Hey, you're going to be Frodo and you're going to take the ring to Mordor and all the things that happen in between are different things that you're rolling for." So like if you're going to run into the Nazgul because they're looking for the ring, roll a d20, and if you roll like below a 10 then the Nazgul might show up or something like that. They can't do that because that's a intellectual property, blah 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 blah. So they go and they make up their own sort of thing to play through, and they're like, I don't know, there's this lich, and then it's just been built off of that since like the 80s, to where now there's just tons of lore that they've put out about everything. They have a card game that's also been tied into it. Um, or not, I guess not card game, but there's like a separate thing with Magic the Gathering that they've done. But they've had like inspirations from different things that have all kind of culminated into what D&D is now. So like what D&D started as in the like late 70s or 80s or whatever is so much different than what we have now, but it's all just like built upon that. So like the basic things of like there's a fighter, there's a wizard, there's a thief, or now they're rogues. Those things are still kind of true in today's like D&D, because you're still picking from classes. There's just tons more classes now. Now you have like you have barbarian, that might have been one that you started with, but there's like barbarian, warlock, wizard, cleric, paladin. There's all these different ones, and there's a story built off of like the adventures that happened like a long time ago, and now we're in like this certain thing, and they call it the Forgotten Realms, and it's got its whole arc line. They've even gone to fucking space with the Spelljammers and shit. Like it's gotten huge since then, because they've had 40 years to build basically like content out of the modules and everything. So I'm sure I'm wrong, and I'm sure there's some sort of like a coherent story that like actually follows a track. But as
Mhm.
far as I understand, it's really hard to kind of say this is the 100% D&D storyline, because like everything can technically be changed when you go and you play through the modules and stuff. It's more of just like something to let you play a game. So inherently it can't be linear, if that makes sense. But they do, I guess they do have like from this event this event happened. So maybe there is like an actual storyline. All that's to say, I guess I don't fucking know.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay, so as far as the community, are they like, do you go to like D&D Con or like
Yeah,
D&D?
they have I mean, there's like there's Comic Con. There's obviously like the big ones, so that can have like different things. I think Wizards of the Coast, the people who actually make Dungeons and Dragons, I think their biggest one is Magic Con, unless they've it might be I don't know. I think it might just be the card game thing, but I'm not sure if they actually have one for Dungeons and Dragons. But um it's more of just like a home thing. I think that's kind of the beauty of D&D is like nowadays, you can play online, especially after COVID and stuff like that. But it's really just something you do with your friends more than anything. There wouldn't really be a way to do like competitive or tournaments or anything like that. Like they do have a traveling, maybe not traveling, but they have something called, I think, Adventure League. So you can go to like a local game store and play with other people in D&D. But as far as I know, that's about it. It depends on where you live, really.
What I also wanted to ask earlier, do you guys is there ever like wagers betted? Like, do you guys ever bet?
No, I mean in game, yeah, there can be like that's D&D is its own separate world and stuff. So like if you're a party and you want to go into a major city and I describe like there's like a casino or something you can go into, then yeah, sure. Like, sometimes sometimes it's a great way of adding a small little like mini game into well, the otherwise normal playthrough, because you can make it like, okay, we're gonna play Russian, or we're not Russian roulette, we're gonna play regular roulette, and odds are black, evens are red, and I'm gonna roll a d20, and that's how we're gonna play this, or something like that. You can make up little like fun mini games in between it. But for the most part, it depends on your play group. If you're like a group of people who likes to like drink and hang out and stuff, but at that point you're just basically having like a poker night or something. You're all just
Yeah.
gambling. So normally, no, it's like if you're gambling, it's gonna be with like made up money, and you're gonna be in like a made up place, and it's all about just like imagination and doing whatever you want. And it's also a comfortability level. It depends on who you're playing with. If you're like at home playing with your friends, then whatever goes. But if you walk up into like LGS, your local game store, and you're like, oh hey, I'm gonna slap down $20 that you can't beat my barbarian or something, everybody's gonna look at you funny and be like, "What the fuck?" No, there's no way. Um, like as far as expectations go with D&D, the only money that you're expected to sink into it is if you want to buy like dice or a book or whatever the hell. It's just a nerd's game.
Is there any overlap between like D&D and like RuneScape?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a lot like that. It's
Okay.
RuneScape. I guess that's it's hard to describe how those two things are different, but they are different. It's like RuneScape is just kind of like a grindy like online game where like technically you're playing with other people, but the people that you interact with are either you're fighting them or you're selling something or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and they're random people who are online. And D&D, these are
Yeah.
like normally people that you're looking at. Like if you played with like webcams or something like that, these are people that you're seeing frequently. It's not like with RuneScape, you are kind of going into your own little life, but it's all set up for you, and it's a game that everyone's interacting with. D&D, the video game, is a person. So whoever the DEM is the video game, and they're either following a module or they are homebrewing stuff and coming up with like their own little world. Like that's why when I say Naruto has its own maps, it does have a canonical map that is where the land of fire that Naruto lived in with the Hidden Leaf Village is. That's not where we are. We started in the Hidden Leaf Village because they wanted to do. I asked them at the beginning in like the first episode, like, where do you guys want to be? And they said they want to be in the Hidden Leaf. So I was like, okay, cool. I didn't really care as a DM. They could start wherever they want. And it wasn't the same as the like actual canonical one because I want to make something like completely different because actually playing the canonical Naruto is just not interesting to me. I don't want to just do, you know, Naruto is here and he's one of the people you can talk to and you're going to get a mission from the Hokage or something. Like that's just it's completely different. Like the structure's different, the classes are different, like they started out in what is essentially like, you know, the rundown
Michi.
part of the city or something. Yeah, yeah, it's like they're not very
And did you create Michi? Is this something of your imagination?
yeah, that was just well, I don't even remember where I got that. I think it means something in Japanese and I don't remember what it was, but I was looking up like words in Japanese to try and because I try and keep it like, themed at least. I think it's road. Huh, interesting. Okay, way, street, it can okay. I don't know why I chose that. It was just a random word.
Okay, nice.
So they were yeah, that's the kind of world as it were, like and that's the end replacement of Earth. So I don't really talk about Michi a whole lot. Michi is just kind of like how many times do you say like Earth? It's normally like America or Mexico or whatever. This is Michi's kind of just like the main place of it. I still wanted to use the same names because I feel like there's a fine line to walk between completely doing the same story and keeping it on theme. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like I wouldn't have Rohan or whatever from Lord of the Rings, but I might have like a place that's kind of like that that's in a different area. And like maybe this is called Rohan because this is like my version of it or like so the very generic names of like the Hidden Mist Village and the hidden or the land of water, the land of earth, like those are so generic of terms. Like Avatar had the land of earth, the land of fire, the land of wind. Those are like when you think of those are two separate things. That's kind of the way I think of my place. It's like, yeah, they share the same name, but it's just so that way you think of like what the Hidden Leaf Village is. Since we don't have any like visual cues, it's all just a podcast. It really helps with the setting because you can kind of picture like what the Hidden Leaf Village looks like instead of me like having to sit down and be like, okay, so like all the roofs are red and glistening in the sun as you like walk down this narrow street that has dirt and merchants on the side of it and stuff. Like I still try and give those descriptions when they walk into a place, but it's way easier for me if you are already picturing like that sort of you know, I don't even know what you would call it, like stucco, serene area with the mountain in the background and stuff. Like, it's way easier to get everybody into the same kind of headspace if you use some things like that rather than saying like, "Oh, we're in the land of you know grass, and this is just something that nobody knows about." So uh, that wasn't 100% also my choice. I kind of just wanted to go with whatever they felt most comfortable with. And since some of them hadn't played D&D, I thought this would be a good, or maybe I think Marcus and Beans had played before, but it wasn't um, like very much. Like Briar and me were the only ones who had really ever played before. And so to get all of us a little bit more comfortable with like a setting, it seemed easier to start it there, basically.
Okay, nice. That's good though. And it's funny that you said like nobody really says like Earth, but then as soon as you said that, it took me back to like Dragon Ball Z, like back on the Earth or back on Namek,
Yeah,
literally.
that's true. Maybe one day we'll explore different planets, but that would be a whole
That'll be
nother
dope.
fucking thing.
That'll be dope.
Who
That'll be
knows?
dope. Word.
Right now, we're very focused on certain things going on in the Leaf. It's all hidden government stuff, basically. Very
Nice,
inspired
nice,
by Full Metal Alchemist. That's my probably my favorite anime I've ever seen. So I took a lot of
nice,
inspiration from them.
nice. I just started watching a couple episodes, probably like 3 episodes in. I'm
I
about to
love Full
start
Metal Alchemist.
my full metal journey. But
Start with Brotherhood. It's way better.
Brotherhood. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the differences?
Brotherhood was made after the manga was finished. The original one was still being made while the manga was being written. And I think, I'm not 100% sure if this is true, but I heard that they went too fast basically. And by the time the manga had, like, it hadn't even ended yet, by the time the anime was like catching up. So they kind of like diverted paths. And the ending for the original anime is way different than the ending for Brotherhood. And in my opinion, I like Brotherhood. Brotherhood's apparently more similar to the manga. I don't know if I've read the manga or not, though. I don't think I have.
Okay. It's just that though.
Yeah.
Is it just interesting, like the whole alchemist thing to it? Like,
Yeah.
it,
Equivalent
yeah,
exchange, man.
yeah.
It's
That
cool.
was that was dope. Um, okay, so when did you start the podcast? Did I actually this already, or was that off mic? I'm not sure.
I don't even remember. We've had conversations on and off mic so much. I don't remember which one was which.
Yeah.
Uh, if not, I think we started in like June. It was like last year. Sometime was when we first dropped, I think June or July.
Okay, and has the D&D community been like receptive to it? Or have you been seeing like
Kind of here and there. I mean, I think we're about to hit like 1,000 downloads soon. We're like almost
nice?
at yeah, it's like 950 something, and it's as far as like the podcasting actually goes, it's more just a hobby for most of us. This is like practice for voice acting and everything, and I get to practice editing. It kind of keeps me from going crazy just being in the house. It just gives me
Yeah,
like my own little thing to do. And like if anything took off, that'd be cool. But if not, I kind of just have fun doing it. I've always thought having my own podcast would be sweet, and I like the guys that I got really lucky with the people that I found. They were just like some other guys that I met on like Discord voice acting channels and stuff, and was like, hey, if anybody likes D&D, that's how I got Briar and Marcus. But Beans was actually from Casting Call Club or whatever that place was. I was just posting on there to see if I could find anybody, and I liked the way he sounded. So I got really lucky with the guys that I got because we've all everybody who's been there since the beginning is still here, and we're all just, I think, getting better. I don't know, but it's cool, and like especially since these guys are all doing it to try and like be uh like on animes and stuff like that. It would be sweet if one day, one of them actually makes it, and I can be like, dude, check out this podcast with this guy that I used to do, and he's like the voice of whatever, like it's just
Yeah.
cool, like it's neat. I've always been a huge anime nerd, and the fact that like uh a lot more things have gone online. It seems way more possible living out in the middle of bumfuck Ohio than it ever did. Like before it'd be like, oh, you have to like meet people and know the right people. But now that everybody like gets online and Zoom is the new like in person, it's like anybody can do whatever you want. Anybody can post from anywhere. So it's like, I don't know. It's almost like, yeah, fuck it. Why not? Why not try? It's cool. It's not like I have to do anything. I never leave my house. I just keep doing my normal day-to-day stuff, and one day I might be able to know people who are like voice actors and shit, and it's just neat.
Nah, that's definitely good, bro. It's good to, and you're getting it out there, and people, obviously, people are enjoying it. If you almost hit it 1,000 downloads, like you get it. You
Yeah, we
just
got
started it
people who
recently.
post. Yeah, we got people who post in the Discord pretty frequently. We had this one girl who like drew all the characters.
Oh,
That
that's
was really
fine.
cool.
That's
Yeah,
good.
it's awesome. It's really nice to see people being so excited about it. Like we got one guy in there who's like, "Oh my God, like I love this." He writes, I think he writes like a lot of the homebrew stuff on the actual Discord for the module that we use,
Hmm.
and he got in there and was like, "Hey, I listened to your podcast and it's so cool. Here's some of the stuff that I've like homebrewed and written for the Naruto 5e myself." And it's just neat to see people get like so excited that they want to like share it and everything. It's like, "Oh, I'm doing something right." People actually like listen to it and think it's cool. They're not just like, "Why the fuck did you rule that?" Because as a DM, it's really easy to get kind of in your head and be like, "Oh, fuck, if I say something wrong, people are going to be like, why the fuck did you let them do that? Or why did you make this, why'd you make this boss so easy? Or why'd you make this boss so hard?" Like as a DM, it's really hard to like ride that balance. And if I'm able to get people to actually listen to whatever the hell we play and say like, oh, comment on it and not say like, man, that sucked, then I feel like that's a win for me.
Nah, yeah, definitely.
Like it's hard enough to like do it in front of people and everything, but to do it in front of people and then record it, edit it, and post it online is like a whole other animal. It's like, oh God, am I even like, do I sound like an idiot when I talk like this? Are people going to just tell me I'm wrong in the comments all the time and be like, actually, like it should have been a DC this, or, that monster shouldn't have been this hard. It's a whole um, worry, but it's fun. Like, I think the thing that takes the pressure off is I'm not trying to do this for like a living or anything. This is just like for fun. So it's
Nah,
it's
yeah, I get
cool,
it.
you know.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So, what can people expect from you guys? Like, what you got what you got brewing up right now?
Just
Got any
more.
new storylines or what?
Just more. I mean, new. I guess continuing storylines. One of the guys was like, "Man, we have like Naruto pacing." And if you, I know you said that you've watched some Naruto, you understand what that means with like the filler and all that stuff. We kind of just fuck around. I like to. There is a underlying thing that like I've written since the beginning, and it's like deep lore for the campaign, but I'm in no rush to get to it, and these guys just have fun doing random shit. Like we just had one where they got swallowed by a giant worm and had to like fight their way out of that and everything. So it's like that has nothing to do with the main arc. That was just something fun that we kind of, you know, ran into. So I don't know. I would say it's just a fun journey. It's like any other D&D campaign. I'm in no rush to get to the end, but I'm excited for that too. I would say as far as it goes, we're on like episode 20. I could see this campaign going at the rate that it's been going. I could see it lasting for another like maybe year before we even get to the end of like the stuff that we've kind of been setting up now, like with their big
Oh wow.
bad guy and everything, because it's just like they get so goddamn sidetracked. It's hilarious. Like
And how does the sidetrack happen? Like, is it because of
it's just D
like
and D. Like if it's it's a bunch of people sitting around coming up with something that they think would be funny, and especially when you're doing it for like a performative thing, it's like you do things that as a human being you would never do, but like, as a D&D character, like, yeah, maybe like fucking with a like one of the big things that they did was take eyeballs from like basically so far what they've seen is that like there's this evil organization that's harvesting people for their Kekkei Genkai. So you know how like Sasuke has like the Sharingan. Jeez, I can't even talk.
Yeah,
Um, the government or whoever this like shadow organization is has been like harvesting people to make like super soldiers and like splicing them together and patching making patchwork soldiers of all the strongest things, and they kind of ran into some of that, and instead of being like, oh no, we got to put a stop to this evil shit, he was like, I'm gonna do surgery on my friend and put this Hyuga eye inside of him instead. And that wasn't something that I planned on at all. So that was like a huge holy shit, what the fuck type moment. But like just those interactions change the story of the way I thought things would go as compared to like the way that they wanted to go. That like it's really easy to get sidetracked. And as a DM, it's hard to adjust sort of the way that you play based off of the way that the players go. That's why like we play on the pod for probably like an hour and a half, like is what ends up getting put out, but we'll be on recording for like 2 hours sometimes. Like I a lot of it gets cut out because there's a lot of like, oh shit, hold on, like we need to take a second here. Like they have had times where I'm just like, guys, give me like 10 minutes, go like make a drink or something, because I do not know what the fuck is gonna happen next. Give me just a minute to like, I didn't, like everything is off the rails at this point. I need to like take a second because I didn't think you would do this, like, and that's the fun of D&D, is that like it can get to the point where it's like, uh as a player, that's almost like a fun thing where it's like, I got my DM, like they were expecting me to do this. So like, but when you're recording it for like a podcast, it's like way different because it's like, fuck guys, I need this to make sense. And I can't
yeah,
like, there's not like a script, there's not like a railroading type thing. But to a certain extent, anybody who says that like, oh, I don't railroad my players is either a bad writer or lying. But there is a certain expectation when it comes to facing choices that you give characters, that sometimes the players will surprise you with like shit that is so off the wall that you're like, what the fuck do you mean? And like one of the big ones I would say for this campaign so far, I mean, these guys are crazy, so I can't even think of everything off the top of my head, but the biggest one that stands out to me is when they just decided to steal people's body parts. I was expecting them to be the good guys and want to, save the people who were getting harvested and everything, and instead they were like, I'm gonna just pop this in. And so that changed a lot of what I was planning on doing to like the next episode. Thank God they're, you know, I can say, okay, let's be done here. The next episode, the big bad guy offered one of them a job because he was like, hey, you did a really good job at like stealing body parts, and that's what we do. So like, you want to come steal body parts with us? Like that
yeah,
wasn't that was when I first started the campaign. I never thought that that would happen. I never thought that I'd be offering them a job at the basically bad guy place. But that's the beauty of D&D, is like you do this kind of shit and fuck it, like I guess that's the direction we're going,
yeah,
and that's the like flexibility and like craziness of D&D. But that's just like one thing. I mean, there's all kinds of times where I'm like, okay guys, like let's end the session here because like holy fuck, I need to reevaluate what the hell we're gonna do. you know
yeah,
um but it's great. It's a lot of fun. Highly recommend you trying it out if you ever get a chance to play D&D again, if ever, anybody ever offers you a chance. I feel
yeah,
like it's an
definitely.
experience everybody should try and have.
Yeah, I gotta tap into the D&D wave, man. Maybe start my own journey and
Yeah, I
be
mean,
my own GM.
it's at the end of the day, it's a really cool way of just letting loose and getting to do things that you would never do. That's one of the beauties of it. I mean, there's people who use it for like therapy and stuff because they're like, you know, hey, you know, have issues or something. It's a good way to express yourself without like actually doing it as yourself. Like maybe there's parts of yourself that you want to like try and act out, but you're too timid to. Maybe you're a really shy person, but like you want to be a big, brave, like soldier or something. It's really cool to sit down and get to like do that. It can help like build confidence and or just kind of help you work through things that you wouldn't normally be able to do. I know it's helped me out a lot just getting to, be silly and crazy, and like I'm damn near 30 years old and I'm still like doing adventures and shit. Like I never thought I'd get to do this in my life. I feel like D&D's really changed me and for the better because otherwise I think like I'd be a fucking miserable bastard. you know. But not to say anybody is like without it. I'm just saying that for
No,
me
yeah, it
it was
helped you out.
yeah,
Yeah.
it helped me out a lot, and I feel like it can help a lot of people out. So if you ever get a chance, always I say go for it if it works out, like a schedule or something. But it is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
Right.
And thank your DMs. Buy your DMs a six pack every once in a while. Looking at you,
Definitely.
Beans.
Word. But all right. So I feel like that's a good place to end it, man. So let the people
Heck
know
yeah.
once again where they can find you in the podcast, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So we if you go on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcast, or wherever you find your podcast, there should be Dungeons and Shinobi, and it'll look like the Naruto symbol, but it's not the Naruto symbol. Um we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Dungeons and Shinobi if you wanted to listen. We also do like a little after show where we kind of like what we're doing here, just fuck around and talk about whatever happened during the episode. It's a way that we kind of like do a recap and stuff. So if you want to, you
Nice.
can always check us out there too. Yeah, that's about
Yeah, and
it.
share all those links. definitely have them down in the description.
Yeah,
But yeah, just like that, guys, make sure you go follow TeaPott on all his platforms. Make sure you go listen to Dungeons and Shinobi, man. I just tapped in. I'm on episode 1. I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get it rocking. I'll listen on my way to work tomorrow. But yeah, just like that, guys. It's been a great episode, and peace out.
see you guys.